Hello and welcome to SEC Basketball Reaction. I'm your host, Chris Lee, joined by Max Barr and Blake Lovell. The madness never stops. Neither does the portal. Nobody sleeps anymore. Good morning, gentlemen. Hope you guys got a little sleep last night. At least I wasn't huddled up in a bathroom like I was 2 nights ago waiting out a tornado in the area. So we got that going for us this morning. We also got a lot of portal news. Max Barr, kick us off. Where are we starting today?
Well, welcome in, everybody. Welcome in. This is already the longest week of my life. I don't know how I am going to make it. Now, 5 more days until I get some college basketball of meaning. By the way, did you guys see the Crown basketball tournament? Did you see the fiasco that happened with that? That was something. Oh, yeah, the Crown basketball tournament right now, they had wagers available for like the past 5 days, and they never got it like regulated or something like that with the commission. So there's this whole fiasco right now with all these sports books and this weird pop-up Crown college basketball tournament. You got the portal going on. Keep your head on a swivel today. You don't know what's an April Fool's joke, who's actually in the portal or committing where. It's madness. It's madness.
I have a question. How many Summit Colas have we had this morning? Is it Diet Summit Cola, or is that implied in the name?
No, all it is the sun is shining and it's the Final Four week. That's all it is.
You don't need to be propped up. You're just on your own.
It's a big week.
Right.
All right. Yeah, I was talking to Greg Peterson last night as that happened, by the way. So I did his show, and he was telling me about the fiasco. He wasn't. We were just laughing about it because it was such a wild deal with that. But yeah, Max, don't tell anyone what you were watching last night, basketball related, especially not this chat. Do not tell this chat what you were watching last night, because Kentucky fans will not like it too much, is my guess. But all right, so no, there are no truth to the rumors that Hunter Dickinson is joining Southeastern 16. We can deny those at the moment. But a lot of other portal stuff happening out there. No truth to the rumors yet that Big Z's going to Kentucky or Kirk Reese is going to Arkansas. We can't confirm either of those yet either. But it is madness in the transfer portal. It's Final Four week, but there are a lot of movements. What's the number at now? 1,600?
The total number?
Yeah.
Add another 0, whatever you think it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's just everybody. Everybody's in the portal is the way I see it. I mean, I think that's the way it works pretty much. You're always possibly being portaled out there by somebody. So, yeah, that's where we are. Been some interesting ones the past couple days. But again, we'll talk about the Final Four today too. But we're just going to give some quick thoughts on some of the transfers. We mentioned kind of been a flurry of guys over the past couple days. And again, we did the video on Cam Williams, Kentucky. We'll do more of those single type videos, but sometimes when you got a gazillion out there, we try to just catch up via this route, Max. But obviously I think, Trace and Eagle staff was someone we watched this year against Alabama, just went off, had some other games he went off. And I mean, that was one of the surprises so far for South Carolina to get him because, all the talk was about, all right, are LSU and South Carolina about to spend more money? How's this going to work? And then I thought that was what was it? Let me pull this up real quick because I think this is important to the conversation. So Lamont Paris was on, of course, my internet's not going to load to the point to give me the tweet, but Lamont Paris was on SEC this morning, yesterday, and here's what he had to say. This is from Jack Veltri, by the way, on Twitter. A starter in the SEC is worth no less than $1 million currently. He also said that Colin Murray-Boyles got an offer for $2.5 million from another SEC team that was playing in the NCAA tournament. So now keep in mind, I think he's referring to Murray-Boyles, meaning that was probably happening at some point this season, not necessarily right now, because I think the thought is that he's going to go to the NBA. But yeah, so there you go. You're paying $1 million. This is from an SEC head coach saying that you're paying $1 million at least for a starter right now. And one of his players, one of the best players in the league, got a $2.5 million offer from another team that was currently playing in the tournament. So, yeah, kind of shows you the nature where things are. But, hey, South Carolina spending that money to get Eagle staff, that was a nice addition for the Gamecocks.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm just like sitting here thinking like, if we just price tagged a roster like some of these, like what would it cost you right now? Like let's just go here. Let's just say Florida. Let's say everybody on Florida were eligible to come back, just as a thought exercise. Like what would that roster cost you? I mean, Walter Clayton would be maybe a $2.5-3 million player.
It'd be like a top 3, top 5 in the country.
No, I mean, I'm serious. Let's put a price tag on it and just add it up. All right, give me a number. I'll write it down.
For Walter Clayton?
Yeah, for Walter Clayton.
Do 2.5. You'd be one of the top 3, top 5 players in the country.
All right, Martin. What, maybe 2?
We're doing
like
this
1.5.
live in a public forum. We're determining what a player costs.
Look, we're
That's
not
what
being
the
tested
business.
on this. I'm just trying to think out loud. Like, what might it cost to put together Florida's roster if you could bring it back for next year, just for fun? I mean, you just said starters are $1 million, so I'm a good starter is going to be more than that. You know, we've heard $2.5 million for players. I'm just ballparking it here.
I'm not knocking it. I was pointing out the fact that this is what we're doing.
Look, we live in the land of absurdity. We're just playing along, okay?
I'd say around like $8.5 million just for the starting 5.
Oh, I think that
might be even low.
I wonder if that's low. Just give me a number. We can accept we might be off a few $100,000. I just want to see what this adds up to.
So will Richard do 1.5?
What are we doing on Martin?
Just do 1.5, 1.5 for those two.
Martin's 1.5. I think he'd be more than that. Maybe not. I don't know. Okay.
Probably just for the exercise. I'd say Condon would probably be 2.
Okay.
And then
right now we've got 4, 5.5. We're at $7.5 million for those 4.
Maybe $1 million for Ruben. Not even Condon. You're not even talking Haw and Lockton. Yeah, it'd be it'd be close to around 10K or 10 mil.
Give me a price tag for Tommy Howell.
I'm not doing the whole entire lineup.
Why not? Come on.
Chris, you set the prices. How about this? You set the prices on what these players are.
Okay, let's put $1.5 million on Tommy Howell.
Tommy Hawk.
Then we got Sir Thomas. So we got Clayton, Martin, Richard, Condon, Chinyelu, and Howell. That's $10 million just between those 6 guys.
That's the state we're in right now.
Yeah, and we haven't even gotten to a couple more guys. Aberdeen.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I mean, Aberdeen's a starter somewhere, right? He could start somewhere.
Yeah.
If a starter's $1 million, let's give him $1 million and call it even.
Yep.
Who am I missing? Who's their 8th guy?
Lockton?
Yeah.
Another $1 million.
Conservatively call him a starter. That's $12 million for 8 guys. And that's assuming we're not low.
That is so crazy.
And then
oh my gosh.
You probably need to get a 9 or 10 guy who's serviceable, just in case. Let's just call it $500,000 each.
This is absurdity.
I know that, and that's what I'm pointing to.
Well, the big story, there's a lot of big stories yesterday, but one of the bigger ones was the Kennesaw State transfer who is from Tuscaloosa, who truly in the Trilly Discord, he said if Woolley doesn't end up in Tuscaloosa, something might be wrong with the Tide, as a joke. Like saying that as a joke because he was that confident that, oh my gosh, yep, Woolley's going to Alabama. Well, Louisville gave him $1.5 million. $1.5 million. That's why. So the Tide miss out on a potential 6-man starter level sophomore with great height, great size, good shooting. $1.5 million to Louisville. It's absurd. It's absolutely absurd.
And yet, nothing, anything binding to keep a kid from taking the money now, walking out the door in the summer.
Yeah. Well,
just your
back
word.
To the original. We got a little sidetracked there, but back to Eagle staff.
Can I talk about Eagle staff for a second? I don't know where
sure.
I wanted to talk about this guy so much, and all of a sudden we started drafting, doing a live auction. Eagle staff.
I'll bid 1.7 for Eagle staff.
If you want to talk about the impact he could have on South Carolina, remember, this is the kid who scored 40 against Alabama. He had 51 against South Dakota State in a game on March the 7th, where he went 8 of 18 from 3 in that game. I mean, just who else? Kansas, Kentucky, the Zags, like all these kind of teams were, of course they were, right? Like who wouldn't be interested in a guy like this? And I know, Alabama fans were talking about everybody just assumed he was going to go to Alabama after he put up 40 against them. But like this guy is just, I'm excited. We knew he's going to wind up in the SEC. I did not think he'd wind up at South Carolina. So that's tremendous because now you want to talk about a fun sort of player to build around. If you're Lamont Paris, it's pretty exciting in terms of, I think, their ability to maybe change their offensive trajectory, as we know. I mean, that was, this year, the guard play, we talked about it. They just had one more guard, two more guard, the consistency. Think about a team that has Eagle staff and Colin Murray Boyles on it. How in the world do you guard that team? It's not going to happen, but I mean, just think about that though, right? I mean, that's just such a sort of fascinating thing. So yeah, I mean, this guy, my goodness, if they can get him, run him off some screens, depending on how the rest of the roster fills out, man, this guy is going to be fun to watch in the SEC.
Oh, he's going to be a ton of fun to watch. 6'6", 190, and he's versatile. You look back through his years at North Dakota, he's got stretches of seasons where he's played the 3, the 2, and then this past year primarily at the 1, leading the offense. A little bit inconsistent, but geez, you've got games of, like Blake said, 50, 40, 30, basically everything in the 20s. But he does have some random games where, like 0 points, some flare-ups where defensive game plan on him just limited him. But that's what you're going to get when you're the number 1 guy on a mid-major team. Everyone wanted this guy. Everyone wanted him. You look at the list that Joe Tipton gives out when received interest from. Just name the D1 school, and they contacted Eagle staff, wanted to get in. I believe I heard the price tag for Eagle staff was $1.2 million. So right on par with the projected $1 million for a starter. But this player pairs well with Ugasuk. Now that's two knockdown shooters to build around there, with obviously all the departures that are happening there in Columbia. Joins Christ Isandoko from Providence.
Say that again?
Big man. Christ Isandoko, 7 foot, 290-pound junior. Just another big body in there. So not as highly touted as Eagle staff, but another addition.
So you said 1.2 mil.
Oh, boy.
For Eagle staff.
I thought you were going to say higher than that, honestly. I mean, and here's the thing. He's a 6'6" guard. So the translation, I think, with that height becomes a little bit less of a worry. Not to mention what he did to Alabama.
You got to think him going to South Carolina, Lamont Paris can coach up his defense, because that is the main talking point of, if you're trying to be kind of glass half empty on Eagle staff, is he going to be able to handle the physicality and defense of the SEC? So you like him going to South Carolina there. I trust Lamont Paris. Those guards are usually always feisty.
Speaking of Alabama, like you said, they missed out on a guy, Max, but
Yep.
there's always one waiting around the corner, right?
Yeah, Noah Williamson, big time pickup. I expect him to come off the bench. I think it's going to be Cheryl's spot at the 5 next year. But this is fun now. You've got 2 pick and pop bigs here. It's the first time Nate Oates has had this. It's a little bit of a contrast from Big Cliff, Pringle, Bediako. Now you have 2 kind of perimeter pick and pop bigs. Williamson, Player of the Year in the Patriot League. One of the most versatile matchups in college basketball. A 7-footer who can take you off the bounce, got nice crossover moves. He can take you right from outside the 3-point line, face up, and take you all the way down inside. Real versatile. However, numbers drop off pretty significantly against the top competition. So that's why I think most places you're going to see him projected as a backup, because he averaged 17 and 7 this past year, but against the top competition that drops to 10 and 5. She's still going to be a fantastic addition, but I've seen some people kind of putting him up a little bit too high, put the brakes on. In this offense, no big man gets over like 20, 22 minutes anyways. Very nice addition.
Well, surely you saw this, right? So when I was putting the notes together on this guy, you know what I like to turn to when we start to get these transfers, the Ken Pom player comps.
Yep.
I'm sure you saw the one that I'm going to mention here. One of his top comps is Grant Nelson from 2023. So I thought that was kind of fascinating, right? It's Grant Nelson last year at North Dakota State is one of his comps. So if you're an Alabama fan, you're feeling okay about that. If Ken Pom gets that one right in terms of the comps there. But like you said, I think when you got a guy like this that's 7 foot and can do the things he can do, I mean that's a no-brainer, I think, in terms of just being able to add him to the roster. And like you said, I don't know what the minutes look like, but my goodness, I mean this guy, you can watch a 5-minute highlight clip and see that he's going to bring a lot of those things to the table, I think, for Alabama that you're looking for. And so I think it's going to be interesting, like we said, because here's the thing. We always mention this. These first couple transfers you see out there, I mean, we don't know what their place on the we don't know what the rest of the roster is going to look like. So we can't exactly give you a full breakdown of what role he's going to play or the minutes or all this, but we can tell you from the skill standpoint. And again, this guy is just, he's very skilled, and you can't teach these kind of things for a 7-footer in terms of just some of the natural abilities he's going to bring to the table. So, I'm excited to see, again, how the rest of the roster fills out for Alabama, but I think he's a pretty exciting pickup given the size and just the overall kind of skill set he has. So,
yeah.
I'm looking at their roster for next year. I'm at Bama Online, their roster tracker, and I don't know how. Well, this is 12 hours ago, so I would think it's pretty up to date. Here's what they've got: file on pending draft decision, returning Aiden Holloway, Mo Diabate, Jaron Stevenson, Aiden Sherrill, Darian Reed, right cell, although, Achilles are tough to come back from. We'll see there. And Houston Millette. That's a pretty good core.
Yeah, Alabama's got a lot more of a, again, we see how the rest of the roster fills out, like from the perspective of like what are the minutes distribution look like. But Alabama's got a pretty good, probably more than most, I would say, Max, when it comes to the SEC. You have a pretty good feel, at least right now, of what you think you're going to see with Alabama. Not the case with a lot of other teams, maybe, but Alabama's nucleus is at least in place, I think.
Well, you have continuity there, which is hard to come by in this era.
Yeah, I think besides Mississippi State, I think they will have the number one continuity minutes in the SEC. Mississippi State returns Hubbard, Kugel, Sean Murphy, Sean Jones. So I think Alabama might have them beat, though, to be honest, on number one in the SEC in continuity right now, at least.
Right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right
The
now.
caveat, as always.
Right now. But just look at the the story that's developing right now. It's gonna start getting brought up more and more. Is the big men in the SEC? It's gonna be a huge storyline this offseason. We are, as a conference, losing a lot down low. A lot down low. When you go through the bigs returning, not Alabama, not Florida. You have maybe one starter, two starters with Malik Dia, Felix Akpara. If Farrell Payne stays, maybe that's three at the 5 spot. Other than that, you really don't have another returning 5 starter. Maybe Sherrill, if he is the one that takes the step up. What I'm getting at is last year there were tons. This year it is very thin. So Alabama having Sherrill, Williamson, Stevenson, Modi, and then the 6'8", 200-pound freshman, London Jemison, having 5 guys already as in a front court, they have a massive advantage on the rest of the SEC just down low right now.
Well, I mean, again, we'll see kind of how the rest of these guys. I'm just so fascinated by some of these guys that are transferring out, and just to find out where some of these guys head. But again, we just know there's so many guys coming in at some point eventually here on these rosters. Okay, so we've covered a couple of those. LSU got a significant addition last night, Max, and that's why I think we mentioned South Carolina and LSU were two of those teams that a lot of eyes on them, because you want to sort of see if they can take that step forward, right? But man, I think at least right now you see both of those teams being pretty aggressive in terms of what they're trying to do this offseason, and we understand why, because they were the two that were left out of the NCAA tournament party. And yeah, I mean, LSU with another nice addition here.
Yeah, and tweeted 45 seconds ago. Okay, so you're getting up-to-date news here. 45 seconds ago, LSU is hosting Elon transfers, the Simpkins brothers from Elon, combined for over 30 points per game. Matt McMahon is not playing around. Matt McMahon is not playing around.
He's got some money finally.
Yeah. So. Whatever your opinion on LSU basketball was, you need to leave it where it was right now and completely change it. This is going to be a solid team. It's already got one of the best 2-man punches in the league right now with Deaton Thomas and Jalen Reed. That is a 2-man game that's going to be elite. Deaton Thomas, guys, and obviously we're going to get to mention Mike Nwoko from Mississippi State. Deaton Thomas might be the best point guard in the portal this whole cycle. Right now he's rated at as number 3 in the portal. But this is a guy that broke the Mountain West freshman assist record last year. I mean, we're talking one of the best creators in the nation here. Missed the final 7 games this year with a shoulder injury, but he'll be fine. It wasn't anything that serious. But yeah, you've got a 2-man game now with Thomas and Reed as a base for a team. That is fantastic. This is going to be an awesome team already.
You got LSU at the top. You ranking LSU number 1 in your April 1 power rankings?
They're in the top half right now of just
wow.
Nice.
I mean, look at some of these rosters. We got teams that don't have a single starter right now.
Oh, I know. I was just messing with you. I'm aware. I'm not saying you got to rank them in the top 5, but I do think they're, again, they've been one of the more aggressive ones so far, and I think understandably so. Like we said, there's a reason for that, and you would think that hopefully a little bit more to work with maybe this offseason, and we'll see if that pays off quite literally for LSU.
I also got a good freshman class coming in, multiple 4-stars.
Pair with the rest of the role.
Oh,
What's going on?
we've lost him. Coming in. Hello. Chris to Earth. Planet Earth.
Yeah. There he is. He's back. He's back.
Sorry,
He's
back. It's Tuesday, which means my wife is upstairs streaming video in her office, which is probably what I'm dealing with.
Or the AOL floppy disk has run out of the free hours. So that is also a possibility.
It could be. You never know.
Don't discount that.
Or it could be I made a bad pick with AT&T. Anyway.
Well, if we're always looking for new sponsors here, folks. AT&T will not be one of them, guaranteed, for as much shade as we've thrown at them over the years. But LSU, a very intriguing team here to start the transfer portal cycle, which has a long way to go. But man, we talked about what if they had Reed this year, right?
Right.
It would have made a difference. But now if you pair him with, a really good point guard, and we see how the rest of the roster goes. But yep.
They've also been rumored with Miami's Nigel Pack. I mean, that's a guy that has been there and done that and can really shoot it. So yeah. If you look at front courts, I was just talking about front courts. LSU really now, the rest of the portal season, it is just let's build up this backcourt and perimeter. Because if you look at the front court, Mike Nwoko and Damian Collins, Jalen Reed and Robert Miller, 4-star Matt Gilhool coming in, 6'10", 210. That front court is pretty much set for LSU. They're really just, the whole portal is just let's go find the best guards we can get, and they already found one of the best.
I have a question.
Starting.
How does Nigel Pack have another year?
He's injured this year, redshirt. He didn't play this year. Played like a few games.
He played 9 games.
Yeah, doesn't he get the year?
Plus 4 full seasons. I mean, obviously,
It's 2025.
Didn't used to work like that. I know.
That's absolutely how it works
still.
now. So
yeah,
absolutely.
Maybe we can find him another one.
Not a bad idea to start with guards, though, when it comes to LSU and others. I think just to kind of start that base foundation of the roster. So Thomas, a great pickup for the Bayou Bengals there, for sure.
Yeah.
So, all right. Elsewhere, we're going to get to your questions in just a second, but there's another little talk out there, Arkansas Razorback talk, about a potential possibility for the Hogs. Somebody may be coming back to call the Hogs next season. Now, that could be fun.
You were talking about maybe some psycho that has already started their preseason rankings for next year. Tell you what, the Hogs.
I'm going to let you be all alone on that because there's no chance I'm starting my preseason rankings yet.
Already started, and I love the base of this Hogs roster.
Give us your 1 through 16 right now. What is it? Shane had the what up here? Shane said we could do power rankings each week during the offseason. We really could if you think about it. If you want to know how much Max and I would flip-flop our rankings every week and react to every single transfer, we would absolutely one week have a team 8th. They'd go out and get a $1.2 million guard, and we're back, baby. They're being crowned champions the following week. So we could do that.
I haven't done 1 through 16. I'm just getting the idea down.
Who's 16 so far? Oh, okay.
I don't know. The only thing I know is I probably would have Florida 1, just because they're going to return Condon, Tommy Ha, Ruben Shinyulu, and Micah Henlockton, and just without knowing it much else, that is something you can trust.
Because they're still playing. Yeah.
It's
like full roster construction has not begun for the Gators because they're still playing for a national championship potentially. So,
well, hey, Florida Basketball Hour tweeted about this, and it's kind of the discourse has kind of been heating up a little bit, and because we haven't seen it with the portal just being at an all-time high right now. if you are in the Final Four, if you're still playing, you are at a significant disadvantage.
Oh yeah.
In the portal. It is clear as day how significant the disadvantage is if you're still playing basketball right now compared to the top teams with the top budgets that are able to just go out there and recruit 24/7. That's a storyline that is not really being talked about, but I feel like we may see the coaches, kind of hint to that in off-season press conferences of the teams that are still playing.
Well, that's true, but you're also putting up one heck of a proof of concept in front of everybody. So if you're a guy out there in the portal wanting to wait it out a little bit, I mean, that's a heck of a system for a guard to play in.
Oh yeah.
Look what it did. Look what it did for their two transfers, Clayton and Martin. I mean, Martin was already more established, but Clayton was a good player at Iona. But I mean, he was good grief. They were on the national radar like he is now.
Yeah, I think the discourse kind of heated up with the Thomas because Deaton Thomas was connected with Florida for a while, and so Florida missing out on him. You kind of think like, man, if Florida wasn't playing, would he have gone there? And that's where the conversation starts to get going and stuff.
All right, let's get a couple of super chats. But did we mention the Arkansas thing? I'm sorry, it all runs together.
A little bit. We're teasing it. We're teasing it.
Just a little tease for maybe the Arkansas fans. We may have a video to come on that soon enough. All right, Mother Carol earlier. I know Mother Carol's had to head back to work, but says to be a max number of transfer portal allowed unless your coach leaves. So Mother Carol wants a number on that. Also, $5 super chat from Mother Carol. Off subject, but if the AP Week 6 top 12 predicts the champion, Houston doesn't win. So there's a couple of statistical factors that Houston has going against them, Max, for your national champion, the Cougars. But
good. I like that. He
likes that. Speaking of which, Big Gator EJ asks, we getting a Final Four prediction videos today, or do we go to the original brackets? Would love a sweet kiss of death is what Big Gator EJ wants. You'll get those tomorrow morning. So we'll have Auburn, Florida, Duke, Houston. Both will be up tomorrow morning, and we'll see. Again, we're not holding ourselves to the bracket, so we are allowed to change our picks if we'd like. So we'll see if anyone does that with their brackets, since we all had the 4-1 seeds in the Final Four. So
I'm not going with my bracket. Tell you that right now.
So. Oh yeah, I told you guys, Max is definitely changing one of these games.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a good feel for who it is, but we're gonna find out when we get to the videos tomorrow. Tomorrow morning, you'll have both of them, both games up. So, all right, $5 here from Hank. Dear NCAA, please put a cap on the NIL. Stop the madness, Hank says. In all caps. He wants the madness stopped. So we appreciate Hank.
Here's what I keep waiting for is contract language that restricts a guy from getting out. Like, okay, you take a guy from us, but you owe us, your bigger school, home games the next 2 years, or I guess buyouts would be difficult to do. But you know what I mean? I just, at some point, isn't that going to happen for teams to protect themselves?
I feel like it would be fair to the mid-majors.
Yeah.
If, say, like a guy like Kennesaw State just lost, or North Dakota just lost Eagle Staff. I feel like North Dakota should get a little something for taking a North Dakota kid in and developing into one of the top scorers in the NCAA. It's not fair.
Yeah. Right.
All right. Let's get to a couple things here. Tyler had an interesting point here, I thought. Roster retention / development more valuable than ever. Portal best used for grabbing a few pieces and not roster overhauls. Yeah, I agree with that. I think if you can retain your guys in this landscape, develop them a couple years, and then go grab a couple guys that fit in with that group. Yeah, I mean, we've kind of seen that, right? I mean, Auburn, an example. Like, they have guys returning, right? We said kind of the value of just having returning guys that have been in the system. Florida, like think about the nucleus in place with Florida, and then they bring in a couple guys to really complement that. I mean, what Elijah Martin? Like you think about just the role he's played coming in, like Chinyelu, think about the role he's played to replace what? Think about last year, right? Who they're replacing? Tyrese Samuel, Zion Pullen. And you think about just kind of the value they've added to the teams. And so, yeah, I mean, I think it's that sort of scenario where you just keep your main guys in place if you can keep them for a couple years at least, which is not always easy to do, and then just go out and find the guys that can build around them. But you know now that if you are going to keep your guys in place, you're going to be paying. Like you're going to be, maybe paying a pretty penny to keep them there. And so that's why it's as challenging as it's ever been for roster construction.
Yeah, I feel like every team in the Elite Eight had a pretty significant returning veteran presence. I mean, Duke would be kind of an exception a little bit because of the freshmen. But am I wrong about that? Am I missing anything there?
No, and even Duke had Proctor.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, Duke's kind of an outlier with a couple of just really one generational freshmen and one guy in Con Knipple who, the more I watch him, man, he is tremendous. So they're sort of an outlier, but I feel like everybody else like built around at least 5 or 6 guys who were significant players for them the year before.
Houston's a pretty good example of that. They pretty much had last year's roster intact and then added on Uzan. So.
I mean, Tennessee might kind of be the exception. You had Ziegler returning. You had Gainey returning, but to a bigger role. You had Meshack returning. And everybody else other than Cade Phillips, who was more of a bit player last year. But you start looking at kind of where the retention was, and Ziegler's a point guard, which probably counts double when he's the guy that you built a lot of stuff around. And Meshack was your defensive wizard. I mean, both of them were. But Tennessee probably, in terms of numbers, suffers compared to the field. But when you dig in and look at who they were, it makes a little more sense.
Yeah, one little news nugget that we didn't touch on was Trae Young committing $1 million to Oklahoma. Trae Young just said, "Hey, you guys want a starter? Go get yourself a starter. Here's $1 million."
And this is the next evolution of how this thing's going to go, because there are going to be many more of these out there. So, yep. Like, there's always going to be a new wrinkle added to this thing, and this has probably happened elsewhere before, but, like, this is, like, the highest profile one, right? So, sure. I mean, why not? Like, go out and find any NBA player you can find and just say, hey, you want to come help us pay for a starter? Sure. Like, it's a great idea.
Well, like you see some coaches that underwrite, or you see some schools that like underwrite the head coaching position, like Stanford's done it. I think Vanderbilt's done it. I think Michigan's done it. Now we just have Trae Young underwriting point guards. I mean, why not, right?
Yeah, who wants to be the Trae Young point guard for Oklahoma in 2026? Like, how we have like sponsors for everything. Like
right.
The head coach sponsored by whatever the thing is. Well, this year's guy, we have 2 guys competing for the whatever, right? The Trae Young sponsorship for 2026. Who are we going to take? And then you do this big dramatic reveal. And this guy is your Trae Young 2026 recipient. $1 million. Here's your big check. And, kind of present it, like sweepstakes style there. So, yes, he's the assistant GM.
Do we get that with starting lineups? Your Sooners point guard brought to you by Trae Young.
Yes, like that is absolutely going to happen. Like that, yeah, I guarantee you that's going to happen. Like whoever the point guard is going to have like a fat head of Trae Young like on his jersey. Like he's just going to be Trae Young's So, like, not only are you going against the point guard, you're going against Trae Young, too, because his face is going to be right there on the jersey. So it's like the double intimidation factor. So that's absolutely going to be a thing. So
when do players get to start putting corporate logos like on their like you watch the Braves and you look on the patch, they've got a quick read patch with they got some kind of corporate deal. Like if you sign an NI deal with Dr. Pepper and it's just you, do you get to put that the logo on your jersey?
That's going to happen at some point.
That's going to happen.
Yeah, they can say whatever they want about it. Never come on, it's going to happen at some point in the future. So, because then you're going to have the deals where, all right, I'm paying for this guy. Part of the deal is that he's got to have this, and then someone's going to be the breakthrough person who it's allowed for this guy. If Cooper Flagg wanted to wear whatever sponsorship he had this year, come on. Who cares? What are they
NASCAR.
What are they going to do? So, I don't know. I think it's going to happen. So, but
just to put a pin on Oklahoma, they have Forsyth, Duke Miles, Mowagi returning. They didn't have two. Their wings were both on injury red shirts. Jaden Jones and Jeff Nwankwo. Wow, that's gonna be a tough one to say next year.
You've already had
but
one.
basically, maybe one starter, but most likely 4 or 5 starter spots got to get filled out for Oklahoma. So there you go, Trey. There's one down. Three or 4 more to go.
Oh my!
Just keep thinking, like, if you'd woken me up 5 years ago and said we're gonna have this show and it's not like an April Fool's joke, like how would you process that?
Yeah, April Fool's, guys, you've actually been dreaming for the last 5 years, and you've tuned into Southeastern 16 today, and players aren't actually getting paid. We just made all this up. Guys are not actually getting $1.5 million. So you are awake now, and congratulations. The game is still the same. Cooper Flagg's going to be at Duke for the next 2 seasons. Apologies. He's not going anywhere. He's locked into a 3-year rule. All this kind of stuff. Nothing's changed. So he's making money by, I don't know, selling. He's got a lemonade stand outside Cameron Indoor, and that's how he makes money.
Diet Summit stand. Come on.
So
yes,
Max Barr is trying. Max Barr is actually the one currently petitioning Congress to let players get paid just because Max wants someone to be able to sponsor Diet Summit Cola. So. But we'll see if Max ever makes any ground up there. But right now, unfortunately, it's still going to be a while. So,
when Max shows up for the show one day with Diet Summit tattooed right here, we will have jumped the shark.
Oh, Max is getting he's getting a sponsorship.
We're
100% going to happen. So,
Blake, what do you think the chances are sometime today Chris sends us a portal commitment or departure and we have to write back, it's April Fool's?
Highlight
100%.
Very high.
Guarantee you. What was one this morning? People fell for the Carson Beck one. The Carson Beck was going back to Georgia. People fell for it. I'm like, come on, guys. Are you kidding me? Like, come on. It's just, come on. So, I don't know. But be careful out there on the streets of Twitter today or elsewhere.
Tom Crean back to Georgia got a few people.
Yeah.
For real? Wow.
You gotta have believable ones, right? Like that one's hard to believe just because of the way it finished there. But you gotta have, if you're gonna come up with an April Fool's, you've gotta have something that's a little more believable, right? Like let's say that, I don't know, like let's play the Big Z to Kentucky game. All right. So like if you did that one, you could. I mean, that's somewhat believable, right? Like, you could come up with that and say, all right, that feels believable. So, it's just, you got to have something like that. So.
Yeah. The wheels are turning.
Yeah. Like, one of us, never mind. I'm not going to go that road. We'll be here. Chris will have his accountant sheet out here in a second. If I go down. All right. Speaking of, I'll tell you who's not an April Fool's. I'll tell you who's not a fool, period. You know who's not a fool? Ted R. Sanders. He's not a fool.
Nice.
Because I can't think of a more of an opposite of an April Fool's Day joke than Sanders moving. Because there's no joke when it comes to moving.
Ooh.
No joke whatsoever. We don't play around with moving games. All right? Because we know our friends, Sanders Moving, formerly known as Ted R. Sanders Moving and Sanders Logistics, a leader among moving companies in Nashville, Tennessee, and the surrounding area. Their team of professional movers focused on delivering efficient, hassle-free moving at an affordable price. Whether you're moving across town or across the country, Sanders Moving has you covered. Visit them at tedrsandersmoving.com.
Big time intel. Ooh, go ahead.
Big time intel right here from Big Gator EJ.
Big
He's already been moved.
Gator.
We told you yesterday that Sanders Moving was moving Big Gator EJ to San Antonio because the hotels were too much, and he said, I gotta have somewhere to go. So we said, great, here's a house that you can live in, courtesy. Well, actually, I don't want any false advertising. They're not gonna buy you a house, but they will move you there, and perhaps through, legal means, they will move you to this place where you can then fend for yourself. But they do the heavy lifting. We'll give you that. So. All right, Max. You had some breaking news.
Sanders Logistics should sponsor the transfer portal.
Who's that, Chris?
do.
It's a no-brainer. Sanders
whoa.
Logistics should sponsor the transfer portal.
Hold on.
Sanders
Say
Moving.
that again?
Sorry.
Oh, wow.
Sanders
the guy
Moving.
who spends all the time
April
telling me how
Fool.
many times I say the word moving, multiple times says the L word here on here. Come on. All right. Continue on,
Well,
Max.
clearly you knew I was off my game when I didn't have the counter ready to go. So
Well, thank
this should have
goodness.
been your first clue.
Thank goodness.
Vols fans, calling all Vols fans, a certain athlete out of College Park, Maryland, that rhymes with Kajobi Legaspi may be headed to Knoxville.
Oh, my gosh.
Big
He
time
may have
pick
spent
up.
some time at Belmont.
What's that rhyme
May
with?
have.
What's that rhyme with?
Kajobi Legaspi.
Oh, yeah. Old Kajobi. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great guy.
Stay tuned, Vols fans. Stay tuned. We'll be here.
Now watch, someone listening to this show from another school is going to realize that you spread the intel that they may be closing the deal, and they're going to pay up now. And Tennessee fans are going to come back and say, the worldwide audience for Southeastern 16 is what cost us Kaloji Gillespie. What was it?
I don't know if you can hear the
Kajoli?
I don't know if you can hear the sirens, but I think Vols fans might be after me right now. What have I done?
Do you think any agents listening right now that are saying, all right, let's see if these guys can drive up the price? Actually, I've got Chris Lee's accountant board over there, and all these prices he wrote down. Wow. Looks like that's what we're working with. So
We'll see.
All right.
I wonder if he gets a hometown discount because he's from Greenville, which is in the general area. I think it's
Who is?
northeast of there.
who's from Greenville?
LaCory
Subject one.
Gillespie. That guy.
Subject one.
Subject one.
Wow.
Sound like we're in a courtroom.
I know.
All right. We're out of here.
We're out of here.
All right.
Predictions
We got
tomorrow. Big
yeah,
games.
that. Baseball stuff coming here in about 30 minutes. We got roster news, big time roster news in the SEC there that Alfred and I will unpack at 10:30 Central. So if you're in for baseball, tune into that. Got some midweek games and whatever you want to talk about. So stay tuned for that. Blake's got something.
Quickly, Jeff Goodman just tweeted out. Here's the updated number: 1680 transfer portal. 1680.
Gah.
Wow.
For reference, we're not going to go side by ear. We're hopping off. But at this time last year, 1100, 1680. So
Wow.
and
Oh,
the portal was open 45 days a year ago compared to only 30 days so far this season. So 15 fewer days, 500 more additions.
We're here for it. We got you covered.
I do wonder how many of those are just testing free agency with the intention to return to where they are.
We'll let you know tomorrow.
We'll let you know. Max will put a number on it. Right?
Yeah.
No, it's my job. Never mind. All right. All kidding aside, we'll be back for baseball here in about 30 minutes. For Max Barr and Blake Lovell, I'm Chris Lee. We're Southeastern 16. Thanks for watching. God bless you. We'll see you again soon.